So I'll just, okay, so we're recording. Hi, everybody. I'm really happy to be talking to a lovely girl called Cynthia today. Hi, Cynthia.
Hi.
And we actually met at a stand in the park in St Albans, but you're not from St Albans, you're further afield. I know there was a little slight question with you because you were really keen to do this or have this conversation with me, but there was a slight concern about if it gets out and if your school see. But basically, you're 17 years old, you're a starseed, you're awake, you can see what's going on. And I was really curious to talk to you because you really feel a lack of community around younger people and what's happening on the planet at the moment. Yeah. So just as a sort of overview, what's it like being at school, not wearing a mask and not having a lanyard, and just knowing and understanding at a very deep level what's happening on our planet at the moment? What's it like?
I'd say it's pretty devastating because in a way, you feel like you're the only one that sort of feels like that because, well, I am the only one pretty much who, as far as I'm concerned, knows the same things that I do, as in sees everything the way that I do.
Yeah.
And it sort of isolates me a little bit in a way because I know that I can't really sort of express my feelings and emotions about the matter because I know that instantly my friends and other peers and teachers and stuff would just be like, whoa,
Yeah.
what did you just say? Well, they just judge me pretty much. And
I totally get it. And I totally get it because, as a grown-up, it's hard and it's isolating. But to be a young lady, a young woman, who are you at school or at college?
School, yeah.
You're still at school, sixth form. I can't even imagine what it must be like. And when we spoke, I knew you were a starseed. Do you call yourself an empath? Do you know that you're an empath?
Yeah. I actually sort of first realized in a way that I was an empath after having a conversation with Kim. Because I remember when I was at her house, we were talking about being very.
Is this a friend of yours?
A friend of yours.
Oh, a friend of mine.
Yeah.
So many friends.
You know the your friend who was with me at St Albans down in the park.
Oh yes, I don't really know, her, but yeah, Facebook friend.
Oh right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So we were discussing being emotionally sensitive and stuff, and just being sensitive to others' emotions as well, sort of literally feeling what they're feeling, and she was like, you're an empath, right? And it took me by surprise because basically before that I never even really, I knew what empathetic meant, but I didn't know empath was a proper term used for people. So just that was the sort of when I realized that I'm actually
I knew you were, because I never knew empath was a thing until only in the last really few years. I didn't know it was a thing, and it was such a relief for my system to understand why it was that I used to cry when my kids were little, long time ago. I used to cry at EastEnders. I used to watch TV, 30 years ago. I used to cry at EastEnders. I used to cry at adverts. I used to feel everything. I had to stop watching the news because I remember when there were air crashes and things, I would literally be weeping. And it really was quite a big thing in my life. And we didn't know about empaths. It wasn't a thing then. But when I first met you, I recognized that in you. Yeah. So has that meant that you've been the one that people go to at school to or not?
I've definitely had a lot of people come to talk to me, and I find that maybe this was sort of a sensitive subject for a lot of people, but for example, if people have been feeling suicidal, I find that they come to me, and then they tell me I'm the only person they've told, and I was like, oh, you know. So that took me by surprise. But then I when I started noticing that actually people tend to come to me, it was sort of, I don't think they realize why, but
No,
they just
no.
sort of,
Yeah.
they probably think I'm like a trustworthy person. I mean, which I am, but I think there's more to that sort of emotionally that they don't necessarily acknowledge. Well, not consciously, anyways.
Oh, absolutely.
But,
You're absolutely right.
yeah.
I mean, I get taxi drivers telling me their life story. People always tell me, I don't know why I feel very comfortable telling you all this.
Yes.
So you see, do you understand that I mean, I don't know, I can't even imagine being 17 again. It just seems like such a long time ago. So what's it like being around a lot of people who obviously their parents also are not really conscious, of a sort of fifth dimension, and conscious that the world we live in is not really the world that human beings are designed to be living in?
Yeah. I First of all, I think that's such an amazing, just incredible concept, and like I really want to look into it even more, because I've only started recently just sort of looking into more spiritual things, which is absolutely fascinating. But I think it's a shame that everyone takes science as like for totally granted. I mean, science is like be all and end all. There's no sort of, oh well, I don't know. Even when simple sort of stuff comes to, like, for example, God, people say like, oh, there's no scientific proof, for example, that God exists. I'm like, well, I mean, there's things that don't make sense to science, but actually, if you look at it from the side, it's like, it's just so, we're so, for example, interconnected with the universe. I mean, I don't know, I think most people don't really feel it, but I really feel a true connection. I mean, like, I just, there'll just be
My
moments.
daughter, you should be my daughter. My boys are both excited about the vaccination. Bless you.
Oh my.
Yes, 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 yes. Another subject. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, you were saying. I'm so. It's so lovely to hear you speaking. It's so lovely to hear a young person, and that's how I felt when I met you in the park. I said to you, you were the next Greta, didn't I?
Yeah, alternative Greta. Yeah. Do you know,
Yeah.
I just remembered though, when we met in stand in the park, that wasn't the first time I met you. The first time I met you was actually with the protest with Kim back in August in
Oh
Trafalgar
wow!
Square.
Oh wow! I didn't
That
realize.
was the first time we ever saw each other, but I actually didn't even recognize you, and I don't think you recognized me either. It
No.
was only until we were sitting in the car with Kim and she said, "Oh, um, do you recognize that lady from the protest?" And I was like, "Oh yeah,
Well,
yeah."
you know what? My niece finally did my hair when we were talking that day. The wind, and I was like, I felt like a scarecrow because I did a little very short live with you, and I saw it back, and I saw my hair was like this, but I finally had my hair sorted out, so that was vanity for you.
Yeah,
So you
lovely.
probably didn't recognize me down the lake.
Yeah, I mean, you did look very different, but it was, I just even forgot your face actually, because
Yeah,
it was only for like 30 seconds
yeah,
and we were off, so
it was, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So what's it like, Cynthia, sorry, Cynthia,
It's okay.
because your parents are from, where are your parents from?
Lithuania.
Lithuania. Yeah, because we're both, I'm half Eastern European, I'm half Hungarian, and your parents are from Lithuania. And I have noticed that, I don't know why, but I've noticed that the Eastern Europeans are much more open, for example, than the English around anything that is a little more sort of esoteric and, that's not science. Or as my youngest son tells me, it's all pseudoscience, mum, it's just rubbish. So how much of an influence have they been on you?
I mean, they've been a huge influence, and I think without them, I I mean, I thank God every day that I have my parents, because thinking about it, just, considering the situation we're in, I don't think that actually, I mean, I was never really afraid of the virus or anything, nor was I ever concerned about it being a big deal. But I'm thinking now, if it wasn't for my parents, I probably wouldn't have even opened myself up to all the, like, new ideas. Just
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I think because they've helped me stay sort of stay open, really, and they've they've um they've stopped me from being brainwashed by the school curriculum in a way. um so that is I couldn't be more grateful for my parents in that sense. And yeah.
Yeah, and actually it's really true, because I was quite shocked. Somebody very, very close to me, who said I'm the only one in her life, because I have lost a lot of my old friends. I've had some very long-term friendships, but this person that's very, very close to me said that I'm the only person in her life that shows her the other side, because she's absolutely enmeshed in her work and her teenage daughter, and everywhere she goes, everyone has, I mean, even somebody who used to work for me up until 6 months ago, I noticed on her Facebook, has actually got a badge saying, I've had my vaccine. And
I've seen that with my best friend's mum, and oh my God.
I just thought, whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've had my clients say, don't worry, we'll come back to the studio, the Pilates studio, because we're all getting our vaccines and we'll be fine by April. And I thought, I don't think the studio will be open in April. And, it's, I can understand that. I can understand from their point of view. But I think the fact that your parents, like you said, beautifully have opened you up to the possibility, because it must be quite difficult for people who are just literally surrounded by those who are buying into the fear.
Yeah, that is such a huge part, like fear. I mean, it's the sort of main way to control people, really. And I mean, if there's no fear, people have nothing to be afraid of, so they're like, oh, this is fine. So that's why they keep coming out with those like new variants and stuff, and cases rising, because you've got to make sure the people are still complying with the fear.
Yeah. I mean, the PCR test up the nose, my friend was telling me today, I've done some amazing light activation meditations today, just phenomenal. But she was saying to me that apparently the PCR test, they shouldn't, as soon as you go up here, you don't need to go up here. You can just go down here, but they're shoving loads and loads up here, and they're actually changing so much inside the human body, and they're carcinogenic, and they're going to cause, I mean, we that's a whole other topic of what they're going to do and why they're doing it and why they're vaccinating. But you were saying that a lot of the stuff that your parents, the information they get is actually in Russian, and that you're not able to read the Russian. And as I said, a lot of my friends who are Eastern European are much more open to this. So what else was I going to ask you? Let me just have a think what else I was going to ask you. So you being emotionally sensitive, have your friends at school have you been bullied for not wearing a mask, or are they just accepting that, oh, it's Cynthia, and
I've actually been sort of like threatened, like blackmailed in a way. Before coming back to school in September, the government was sort of, I think the government was sort of talking about making all the students wear masks when they come back. And after I came back from that protest, which was the first and last for now protest, I wish I could go to the one in April, but circumstances.
But what?
But
Cynthia, what did you say?
Sorry?
What did you say about going, you wish you could go in April?
I wish I could go in April, but certain some circumstances, I'm not able to.
Okay.
But yeah, and when I came back, I had over 100 photos taken. Oh, it was just one of the best days of my life. And I made I think it was like 3 like pages of collages, you know, and I posted them to Instagram. And I got one friend of mine who I know believes in like similar stuff to me, or at least did at the start. And it actually turned around to be a very strong complier, which it kind of broke my heart. But yeah, and other than her, I had about 3 girls in my year who like told other people and, you know, spread the posts and stuff and started posting on their stories about it. And one literally said to me, I swear to God, if you come back to the school not wearing a mask, I promise I will get the teachers involved and I will make this a big deal. Don't you dare. Like, I mean, I remember actually being terrified to go back to school because, I mean, I was always sort of like, even now, sometimes I have people still coming up to me and asking, oh, why are you not wearing a mask? I mean, at this point, people are used to me not wearing one, but at the very start, I was absolutely just frightened for my life, really, because I mean, it was a threat, you know, and
yeah. So the amount of courage you must have is huge, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the first time that I well, at the very beginning, I think it was around May when masks became mandatory, or for like transport. I think I went on the train about a few times, I'd say, wearing a mask because I didn't even know about exemptions. I didn't know, you know, that people can be exempt. So I
you didn't know that you didn't have to be a slave to the system.
yeah, and then I remember Kim again. She said, "You do know that, you know, there are exemptions," and I was like, "Oh, wait, what?" And I remember I was a bit afraid for a while to like not wear one. I didn't. After I found that out, I didn't end up going anywhere like with a mask anyways because I just didn't have to. But when I remember the very first time I sat on the train without a mask on, it was the most empowering feeling. And I was like, why those few past times, like, did I not do this, you know, or did I wear a mask? But after that, it was pretty much very easy and not a big deal. It just a couple times in like shops, people would like be really like really mean, you know, and just be like literally stand like 4 meters away from me and say, I'm not very comfortable with you not wearing a mask around me. And I was like, well, I'm not even next to you, okay. And just I don't know, and just oh my God, even in M&S, I remember one time some really snobby, I don't even remember who they were, but I think it was like a woman, some really snobby woman just utterly tried to destroy me. I was just like, no, I'm exempt, bye-bye. Yeah.
So you're learning to walk as a warrior woman.
Yeah, I'm pretty much used to that by now. In fact, like a couple of days ago, I think I'm going off on a tangent here, but a couple of days ago, I went to Sainsbury's, and I've lately stopped wearing my lanyard in general because I used to always like have it on my neck or something. But now for the past couple of weeks, I've just not been wearing my lanyard, and just I'm like, well, in a way, wearing a lanyard is sort of complying. So
exactly,
so I've just not been wearing my lanyard, and I I was going to Sainsbury's a couple of days ago, and I saw the guy next to the door who's like controlling, like, you know, telling people to put their masks on. I saw he started coming towards me, but I was on the phone to my mum. I gave him a look. I turned around and continued walking. Just, you know, nobody's business. I'm doing my own thing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I tend to just walk in and they come to me and they go, hi, and they go, have you got it? I go, no. I walk on. But I know it does take courage, and I think probably the likes of you and I, because we feel people and we can really see a bigger picture, it's probably easier for us. But I think people who have really been enslaved to the system for a very long time are slowly, daring to take off their masks, because I didn't realize there's a lot of people that wear masks in supermarkets that know this is an absolute scam and a spiritual war and the rest of it, and we're being fed a whole load of incredible lies. But slowly, because even on some of the Facebook groups, they're taking off their masks and posting photographs on these groups, and I think slowly, but still a very large amount of people. I mean, my very close person that I was talking earlier, she said, I really don't like the word asleep, and I think it can be a bit of a mean word, or even awake. But the thing is about consciousness, and I think my biggest lesson really, because I teach 5D awakening, I have done for many years, and lo and behold, I suddenly realized about 13 months ago that my whole life had been a preparation for this time. So whereas people used to call me crazy or woo-woo, now that I'm the one they come to when they've got very major problems, I'm the one, even those that call me nutty or crazy, if they need something really life-changing. And I'm just curious about this word spiritual. It seems to be, because to me it's most natural that I'm very in touch with my spiritual side, as I'm sure I can see you are. But I think one of the issues maybe is that we haven't had spirituality as an important, life lesson.
Yeah.
We've had religion. What do you think about that?
First of all, I think the concept of religion is
or even just spirituality
in some ways, I think I definitely don't see some religions, yes, but I'd say the big religions I wouldn't really consider as a proper spirituality, because I for the most part I see religions as a form of control, really. If you have people committed to a certain belief, it's very easy to get them to give you money, for example, or do these rituals, for example. But spirituality to me is not really religion. It's sort of an overall connection and sort of greater knowledge of the world as a whole, universe as a whole, how it works, all the connections with nature and stuff. And it's not really I don't even see it as a in most cases a huge sort of, like, when you think of sitting meditating for days, opening your chakras and stuff, it's sort of, in a way, it's sort of a magical process that happens in everyday life. It's in every situation, really. I mean, it's just so, everyday life is so taken for granted, in my opinion, that people don't really, I don't know, it's sort of hard to explain, but I think you know what I'm trying to say.
I know exactly what you're trying to say. Yeah. So how do you think we can take this from here? Because we actually had two other guys that wanted to be here today. Well, I think one was probably a bit nervous about being here, but he's the only boy, 16-year-old boy in his school, who's not wearing a mask. And interestingly, it's my daughter-in-law's sister, her son. And there was another guy who I think is in his 20s, and he also was trying to reach out, because he said there's not enough young people who are awake to what's going on, to what's happening. So do you feel that there is a need for a sort of young people's movement where other people like yourself could maybe connect? Because I think that was really what we were thinking, weren't we, that you were quite keen to meet other young people.
Yeah, I think that is something that is really crucial, because I mean, looking back to school, for example, I know that, well, at least I feel like I'm the only one, you know. And so what young people like me, even though we're a minority, what we need is a community where we know we feel safe, and we, you know, we can all share like sort of general a general connection, really, because you know we know that we're in this together, and it's not just a one or two of us, it's a whole community that might be sort of holding back from expressing how they really are, but that's why we need like a certified community to know that we're in this together.
Yeah, you need a tribe. And I really imagine that the issues that you're facing are, you know, it's really important that you're going to have a tribe of other people that you can speak to and share with, you know. So that's really why we're doing this, is to reach out to any other young people who are conscious, who are starseeds, who are warriors of light, who are empaths. As a yoga teacher, I was so shocked at the yoga community. I wasn't so shocked. I'm also a Pilates teacher, and I wasn't really shocked by the Pilates community, if I'm honest. I know that my own teacher actually left the UK because her work was so deep, and I totally got what she was teaching. And she said to me that England wasn't really ready for the depth and the level. And I'm not knocking English people at all, but what I'm trying to say is she moved to another country to teach that. And I wasn't surprised by the Pilates community, but I was, and I am surprised by the yoga community, the amount of yoga teachers who are having the vaccine, Instagram, the amount of teachers that are demonstrating on their own in a studio with masks on, is kind of mortifying when you think that yoga is about breath and freedom and realizing that the now moment is all that there is, and that we have an immune system, and that we can, you know, we can heal ourselves naturally, and all of that. And the government website took this off in March as a big pandemic, and the death rates are not so high as people think. You've only got to go and look for the information on the government website. So, you know, we know that we're being fed an awful lot of misinformation and more, and that this has been spoken about for a very long time. So what are your thoughts on the Great Awakening, just to wind up?
I think it's obviously a collective effort, and we, similar to how, you know, there should be a sort of connection of young people's community, in the same way there should be, like, I mean, I know there already are like a lot of sort of communities, for example, on Telegram and stuff, but there still needs to be that sort of greater sense of you know, we can do this, let's have hope, let's just get together, because unity is what is going to drive us to freedom. Because the way that, you know, the way that the elites and stuff control is divide and conquer. It's such a well-known concept. So what we need to do is just unify, get together, and know that, you know, unless we all sort of work collectively, nothing's going to happen. You know, we have to stick to it and just do what we can as a whole together.
Yeah. So how can we do that, do you think, with the young people at school? I'm just wondering, what is the way forward, do you think, for people like yourself who are the only one? It's bad enough being the only one in Sainsbury's, but I can't imagine what it would be like to be the only one in the school. I wonder what the way forward is. Just keep being you, I guess. Just keep shining your light.
I think not sort of shying away from sticking to what you believe, because it's very easy to have your own beliefs and stuff and, you know, think differently. But if you're just, nasty word, but if you're just conforming like a sheep, you know, then it's just, you're not making a change. It doesn't matter because you're not showing others that you're the same, you know. And so how can you expect to find other like-minded people if you're not getting into that
I've
effort?
got goosebumps, sweetie. I've got goosebumps. And this is what integrity means, is to be in alignment with all that you say and you think and you do.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, I do personally feel that those who are wearing the mask are actually, you know, part of the problem in a way. And I get that they're really frightened, but I think by wearing that, you're actually showing your own enslavement, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that's hopefully the thing that more and more people will start to drop. And we know that there is a slow shift happening, and just keep on shining your light, Cynthia, because it's been a real honor and pleasure to meet you, and I hope we can keep in touch. And as I said, I see you as the next awakened Greta. So I will support you all that I can. And if anyone, you know, if anyone relates or resonates or knows somebody else like Cynthia, or who's just wanting support or community of young people, then please do get in touch.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sweetie.
Thank you so much for having me. It was such a pleasure.
Welcome. You're so welcome. Lots of love. Take care. Let's turn this off.